Um, all right. Welcome, everyone. Before we start, I'd like to quickly say, as you heard, that this event will be recorded. So even if you miss a portion of it, it will be uploaded on our YouTube at a later date. And more details will be posted on our ASG social media. So feel free to check it out. And as you can tell, when you enter this Zoom session, you will be automatically muted.
And please note that this is an informational session. So to the audience members, please feel free to use the chat to ask any question, and we will try our best to answer them in a timely manner.
And to our professors, please unmute yourself when it is your turn to speak. We will be introducing you. Also, if you are here representing a club to earn ICC points, please input your club's name into the chat. And for our attendees, please input your student email address so we can send you your Fandango code. Now we'd like to introduce ourselves.
Hey everyone, my name is Jeanette Mireles. I am the Social Student Involvement Coordinator for the Social Student Government. I am a biology major here at COC and will be soon transferring to Cal State Northridge. And for my future plans after I obtain my bachelor's, I plan to apply to dental school and pursue my dream of becoming an orthodontist.
Hello everyone, my name is Kayla and I am also the Social Student Involvement Coordinator for ASG, and I'm currently a pre-nursing major. So my plans are to obtain my associate's degree and then transfer to earn my bachelor's degree and hopefully work in pediatrics or the ICU. So enough about us, let's get this event started.
We'd like to welcome you all to our Professor's Perspective Part 2. As most of you might know, last semester we hosted a Professor's Perspective Part 1, and we received a lot of wonderful feedback about how helpful it was for a lot of students who were planning to transfer to a four-year institution. And so we decided to host a Part 2. Therefore, today we have some wonderful professors who are here to speak to us about their university experience and hopefully provide some insight into colleges you've heard about or interested in attending.
We'll first start off with Professor Morgenstern, who attended Cal State Northridge. Welcome, Professor. Please feel free to start when you're ready.
Thank you very much. So yes, I attended Cal State Northridge, and for those who don't know me, I am an instructor in the College of the Canyons Department of History. So I got a bachelor's and a master's degree at CSUN, and it was a wonderful experience. So I was there for a long time, and really, I mean, the most important thing I can say about that or any kind of experience is to just get to know your department, whatever it is your plans are. When you're there, just get to know everybody in your department, everything. So that way, talk to the advisors. That way, everything your department has to offer, and you really get to make the most. I mean, of course, as anyone attending this meeting is obviously involved with the COC campus community, and stay that way. It's just such a great thing to do, and really the best way to make the most of your experiences wherever it is that you end up is to just get to know everyone around you and what not only your department, what the whole school has to offer, the whole environment there, and just stay as involved as possible.
Thank you, Professor. I'll definitely keep that in mind. I know that networking is really important, and getting to know people, like even here at COC, is so important. So thank you. Next up, we have Professor Shaker, who attended UCSD Revel College and USC Rossier School of Education.
Great, thank you. And I totally echo what Professor Morgenstern is saying. I'll share a little bit about myself because I think it really connects to what I think is part of the learning process of college. So my name is Liz Sheckett. I'm a counselor over at College of the Canyons. I am primarily at the Canyon Country campus. So excited. You see this background. We're so excited for the Math and Science building to open in the summer, actually. I am a first generation college student, and I'm the oldest in my family to attend college. And I grew up in the San Francisco, in Redwood City, small area between San Francisco and San Jose. And there was always a lot of support to go to college, especially as a first generation college students. My parents always took so much pride in saying, oh, Liz is going to be the doctor in the family. So growing up, that was kind of my mentality. Like, I'm going to go to med school, become a doctor, because I just saw how hard and so many sacrifices my parents made for me to, and my sister. It's a small family, just my sister and I and my parents. And so, going to school, I ended up going to UCSD. Originally, I was thinking of Santa Barbara just because my high school teachers always said, oh, Liz, Santa Barbara is the place for you. When we did our college visits, UCSD just spoke to me. Like, I was like, oh my gosh, I love this campus. I could see myself here when we went to their open house. So that was kind of a game changer. It was a last minute. And I never really took into account the move. Like, I just assumed, I worked so hard to get here. I'm so excited to go to UCSD. And I got there and I had such a rough experience my first semester. I was so homesick, and it was such a challenge for me to be away from my network, my support group and community. And so I remember calling home every day like, oh my gosh, I want to come home. I don't like this. I don't belong here. I really didn't feel like I belonged. My roommate was a super smart girl. She was like on the dean's merit list, the provost scholarship. She was a freshman taking junior level courses, and I just felt like I didn't belong. I felt like, and I originally started as a biochem major. So all these classes were just so not me, but I was just doing what I thought I needed to do to get to med school, right? And so I think, and I won't go into great detail, I know we have limited time, but just that story, like just my experience, I was in denial for 2 years, you guys. I didn't change my major till my junior year because I always felt like I didn't want to let my parents down. And it wasn't until I volunteered in a hospital. And I, by the teeth of my skin, I was getting through bio and chem and calc and physics. It was like everything was an uphill battle for me. But I, was doing what I could, and I volunteered in a hospital. And that was my aha moment. That was my moment where I was like, okay, I don't know if I really see myself in this environment. I don't know if this is really right for me. But I was so afraid to have that conversation with my parents and let them down. So I was like, okay, I can do this. I'm just going to figure it out. And then I got a summer job working with, and the job title was tutor. I was going back home to Redwood City for the summer. And I was like, I could tutor a 5-year-old boy. Like, that sounds easy. Well, at the interview, I learned that this 5-year boy was autistic, and that just opened up this whole world to me. And I realized I was so fascinated with how he was learning. And we were doing behavioral therapy. Their family had a whole room with a dual, one of those one-way mirror windows. And we were doing like behavioral therapy in there. And I was just so fascinated. So I went back to school in the fall, my junior year, and I talked to the Career Center. I was like, oh my gosh, I'm so confused, but so in love at the same time. I loved learning about this child and how he learns and grows, but I'm so confused because I'm supposed to go to med school. And she's like, well, why? Why do you want to go to med school? I was like, oh, because my parent, I want to help people. That was the big thing. I want to help people. And I've just grown up always knowing that I'm supposed to be a doctor. And she's like, well, Liz, you could help people in other ways. And that really clicked to me. And I'm sharing this story because I think in your journey in higher ed, we learn as we go. And I think it's so important to be true and genuine to yourself in terms of where are your passions and what do you enjoy doing and what's out there that aligns with you. And that's kind of how I came into counseling on accident. I didn't go to school to start as a counselor. I just kind of fell into it because I struggled myself, and all the things I was learning, I was telling my sister. She ended up following me to UCSD. And then, and so I just want to say, like, really be in tune with who you like, where you see yourself, and make sure you're doing it for you, because ultimately you're the one that's going to be doing this work day in and day out, and you want to make sure that it's something that energizes you, that you're passionate about, because I truly believe anyone could do anything they want to do. Okay, so if I really wanted to go to med school, I'm sure I could have done it. The question is, will you be satisfied at the end of the day? Is it you? Is it a good fit for you? Knowing me, I think, is really learning what I wanted and what was important to me, just helped create this journey of less resistance. I think I was on a journey full of resistance because everything was an uphill battle for me. So I just want you to be, I think my biggest piece of advice is just be true to yourself. Do your research. What is your career goal? I think that question sometimes gets forgotten. It's like, where are you going to school? You graduate, it's like, where are you going? That's important, but what do I want to do? And where should I go that's going to help me get to where I want to end up? So I think that's my 2 cents for now.
Well, thank you so much, Professor Shaker. I went through an exact experience. I went to UC Davis my first year of college, and I had the same experience. I was homesick, which is why I'm here today. But yeah, like I wish I had someone to tell me that before that. I have to realize what I want for myself. I was an animal science major. Realized I also was a volunteer. Well, actually, no, I worked at a vet hospital. Realized that was not what I wanted. And so I feel like we need to hear that, especially students in community college who are still trying to figure out what we want to do. So thank you. And Professor Ciardi, you can go ahead and unmute yourself and tell us a little bit about yourself.
Hello, everyone. I also am a first-generation college student. My parents did not finish high school. My dad was a truck driver. My mom was a stay-at-home mom. And when I was in high school, I was bored. So I found ways to entertain myself, which is why I will never teach high school. And I chose not to go to college right away because I was bored and I was not going to pay to be bored. So I worked for a while and then I got bored working. So I decided to go to college. But because I had not been planning to go to college, I did not have any college prep courses behind me. So my first year of college was close to my hometown. I went to Seattle University for a year. And I went from learning how to do algebra to calculus very quickly. And my straight A's in math had, well, my straight A's at Seattle University, I had a math professor tell me, you should be a physics major. I was like, what the heck is that? And he said, oh, it's just math with flair. I was like, oh, that sounds cool. And I had always wanted to go to school on the East Coast because I hadn't seen the East Coast. So I transferred to Boston University as a physics major, not even knowing what physics was. As a physics major, I learned that some of the physics majors were double majoring in physics and astrophysics. And I thought, oh, that sounds cool. I like the idea of applying physics to the stars. So I picked that up as well. So my path really was one of trying to find a way to not be bored. And physics was the first time I wasn't bored. It was hard, and I love that. And then when I graduated from Boston University, I thought I wanted to be an astronomer. And I had done some work with a professor studying young stars. And I went into graduate school really excited about doing the science. But I found that I just came alive when I was teaching. The science was really cool, but nothing just like, lit me up like teaching. So I chose in graduate school to focus my efforts on an end goal of teaching at the community college level. So I have almost a minor in education that I earned while I was a graduate student in physics and astrophysics. So you never know where paths might lead you. And if you just try things, it can get really interesting. And I echo what Liz said. If you find your passion, it's not even like going to work. You're like, wow, I get paid for this. This is awesome.
Thank you so much, Professor Ciardi. Wow, that's wonderful. You've come a long way. You're amazing for loving physics. Wow. Next up is Professor Foote, who attended Cal State Northridge. Welcome, Professor.
Yes, thank you so much, Jeanette. I appreciate being able to be here today to share some of my experiences and give some tips and advice to everybody. With my background, I am an only child from a single parent, and I watched my mom go through college as I was a young kid, and it was just her and I thought, you know, after high school, I'm going to go to Ventura College. I lived out in Ventura County, and I went to Ventura College, and it was there that I actually met one of my professors who was a marine biology professor. And I was like, oh, this is it. And I knew I loved the beach. I knew that, I grew up with my grandpa who had a boat, and I'm like, okay, yes, this is what I want to do. I finally figured out what I wanted to do. And so I ended up, I wanted to stay near my family. So I decided to, look at universities to transfer to. And, you would think that I would go to maybe UC San Diego or Monterey or somewhere where it was close to the beach. Well, I ended up at CSUN. And at first I was like, okay, so it's inland a little bit. We're all by the coast. What the heck? Let's go ahead and see what they have to offer. So I ended up transferring to CSUN. They actually have a very good marine biology program. And almost all of their professors in marine biology all do their research either here in off the coast of California or Hawaii or East Coast. So they go all over the place with their students, which was, I thought, this is awesome. So I decided, let's do this. Let's go ahead and commit to CSUN. We're going to do this. And so the year that I was going to transfer happened to be the good old Northridge big old earthquake. So Northridge being the epicenter, and that's where I was going to be going to school. I was like, oh, I was scared to death to go down there. So going to school where you see rubble and the science buildings weren't even open. We had to be taught in modules on the front grass of the university. It was really, really scary for somebody who's just transitioning to a university. And it was not only scary, but the first 3 weeks that I was there, I was sitting in these STEM classes that I was supposed to be taking, organic chemistry and so forth. And I'm sitting there going, oh my God, what am I doing here? Just like Liz and Teresa, well, maybe Teresa, not really, because she like started to get that passion once she got in there, but I think she was still scared going into those STEM classes as well. But looking at that, I was scared. I was crying every time I went to school for the first 3 weeks going, I don't belong here. This is not what I'm supposed to be doing. This is way too hard for me. And what got me through that was there were a couple of people on either side of me in that organic chemistry class. And I looked over and I'm like, do you understand what the teacher's saying? And she's like, no. I said, well, would you mind sharing your number so we can like maybe start studying together? And we became longtime friends. We've been best friends ever since. And one thing that I can tell you is once you guys do transfer, try to make friends immediately, because that's going to help you get through those first parts of that transition, as well as helping you get and navigate the system. After I went through all that, I was like, okay, I got this now. You're in there. And I started taking the actual marine and core classes. And I tell you what, it's that time when you're a junior and you were looking at all your core classes and these different things. Like I was able to take ornithology, which is the study of birds, vertebrate zoology, invert zoology, all these things that I was like, oh my gosh, this information is coming in. And I was so excited. And all those, if any of you are going to be STEM majors, they all have field studies with them. And the field studies is the best because you get hands-on experience in the field. You get to go on field trips and get to do research. It's so much fun. So, you know, after all that, I ended up getting my bachelor's degree in that. And I thought, you know what? I'm here. I'm going to go ahead and apply for a master's degree. Why not? You know, I'm already in this. I like the school. Oh, and the other tip, get a job at the university that you're going to, because if you work where you're taking classes, it's so easy to just be immersed in that educational sphere, to be able to not only do your work, go to class, but then you go to work right there. You don't have to leave campus and you just get focused. I ended up getting my master's as well there, and I want to let everybody know, some people are afraid of going on and getting their master's. Well, after you get done, I thought personally that undergraduate was more difficult because there were some classes that were very tough. But once you move on to your master's, this is your passion. This is what you want to do. And you get to pick what kind of research project you want to do. Okay. And when you do that, there's only a few classes that you actually have to take. And most of them are seminar classes where you read research and you report out and you talk about things. And then the rest of it is you doing your own work on what you are passionate about. So I highly recommend, after you guys pursue and get your bachelor's degree, really think about getting your master's degree, because it is something that not only is going to move you forward and put you above other competitors within your field, but it gives you that sense of, hey, this is my major, this is my project, and it gives you that sense of completion and some real good confidence for yourself. So that was kind of my story, and I'm thank you so much for letting me share a little bit about my journey through the university, and I hope to give you some more tips later on through our conversation. Thank you so much, Jeanette and Kayla.
Thank you so much, Professor Foote. Definitely making friends is always good. So now we'll move on to asking a couple of questions to each one of you.
So first we have Professor Shaker. I wanted to ask, I know that you gave a lot of advice already, but what other advice do you have for students preparing for the university life?
Yeah, that's a great question. So as we're preparing to transfer to the university, I think one of the biggest things is really doing your research. Once you know a little bit more about what you want to find that match, like what schools have what I want. And I think that's really important. So does the school have your major? I think as you're researching that major, really understanding that department at that school. So I tell students, like, go on to, well, now everything's remote, right? When we're able to go back and visit in person, I think that's important too. I think finding that right program for you is kind of like, you know, shopping for clothes. How does it fit? How do I feel in it? Is it me? Do I see myself here? So I think that's important. But for now, there's a lot of that we could do at our fingertips. We could research that school, read about their faculty. Like, for example, who's teaching the classes that I'm going to be taking? What's their background and their emphasis area? Because, hey, if they specialize in an area that I'm interested, well, who best to do research with or to do an internship with? And these are people that are going to serve as your mentors when you get there. So really study that program, understand, what does it take to get there? What do I need to do to be competitive? And definitely, I might be a little biased, but I wish I did this when I was a freshman. I wish I connected with my counselor. Everybody around me just looked like they knew what they were doing. So I was like pretending, you know, I was pretending I knew what I was doing, just trying to figure out, what are they doing? Okay, I think that's what I'm supposed to be doing. But that guidance is so important. So really reach out to meet with one of our counselors to develop an educational plan. Let them know what your goals are. And if you don't know what your goals are, that's even more reason to come in and meet with a counselor. We could do some career exploration. We can take some career assessments and kind of see what's out there that might be a good fit for me. Sometimes we have so many ideas and it's hard to narrow it down. And sometimes they're like stuck, like, I don't know what I want to do. So I think when that happens, sometimes it's easy, human nature, to just put that decision off. But the sooner we're able to figure out what path we're interested in, the sooner we can get there. And the steps we take now can help us get there most efficiently, effectively, and with the most support that we need. So I would say definitely as we're preparing for transfer, do your research, talk to counselors, talk to your current instructors, ask them, what was your experience? Like, I think it's so awesome to hear about Professor Morgenstern's and Ciardi and Professor Foot's experiences. Like, there's so many ways to get to one place. And it really humanizes that experience. When we talk to our instructors, it's like, you struggled, Amy, in your OChem class? Like, wow, you know, like I'm not alone in this journey, and look at where you are. I can do this too, you know? So I think sharing your goals with your instructors, with your peers is so important. And that support network, priceless. That's what got me through UCSD. Like, honestly, I told you I was calling mom every single day. And I'm a mom now. Like, honestly, I may have given in. I may have been like, okay, buddy, you're coming home. I don't want you to be unhappy. But she was tough, man. She's like, you are not leaving. You finish what you started. And I was upset, you know, at first. But it really pushed me outside of my comfort zone. I was like, okay, I'm here. I need to make the best of it. And that's when I really started asking for help. I started going to instructor office hours, and I was embarrassed too. Like, I just felt like, you know, and I'm going to share a little story. My very first chemistry exam as a freshman, and I studied, okay? So I studied. So I really earned this grade. I got 15% on my chemistry exam. I was floored. This is where I really was like, I don't belong here. Like, I am not being successful. I really felt like a failure. I was like, I don't belong here. I can't do this. And so what I did, I worked up the guts to go to my instructor's office hours, and I was really embarrassed. I was like, oh my gosh, like, I think an ant could have walked into that classroom and like done better than me on that test. But anyhow, after talking to him, you know, he really helped me understand that I was not studying the right way. I totally studied out of the book. His lectures, he's like, Liz, my test, if you look at it, it strictly comes out of the lecture. So if you go to lecture, he's like, do you take lecture notes? I was like, yeah, look at my book. But I never thought to read through my lecture notes. I just thought I'm going to focus on the book because that's got to be better than my notes. Well, apparently those lectures are my instructor's notes, right? So, but I didn't realize that at the time. So once he started giving me tips and guiding me on how to study, you know, I ended up getting like a B in the class. Luckily, they dropped your lowest test, so I was saved there. But I was like, okay. But had I not had that conversation, I probably would have kept doing what I was doing. So I think a big thing as you're preparing for transfer, ask for help. If you're stuck somewhere, don't be afraid to ask for help. I think that's so important. So those are some ideas to help us prepare for university life. I think ask for help at COC. When you get to your transfer school, ask for help. See who's there that could be, you know, part of your support group, because nobody gets through life alone. So I think it's really important to find those people. And I have to tell you, my roommates, well, not my freshman roommate, but later down the line, as I continued at UCSD and made friends, we've been friends till today. And honestly, they're all in the medical profession. One's an optometrist, one's an oncologist, pediatrician. And when I hear their stories, I'm so happy for them. But I was like, you know, that's not my lifestyle. Like that everything they're sharing, I was like, gosh, you know, it's amazing the work that you do. But everybody has their own path and journey. So don't compare yourself to others. I think I was doing that a lot, and that kept bringing me down. Really, you compare yourself to you and your own growth and your goals and your perspective. So yeah, so those are some ideas to help as we prepare for future goals.
Thank you, Professor Schaefer. I know that it's really great that at COC they have that career exploration, like quizzes that you could take, and like I know all of the professors that I've had so far are really willing to just help me out and just talk to me and get me to where I want to be. So I think it's great that we have the resources here to do that, and at other schools as well. So thank you. I think we had another question for you. Our other question was do you recommend living on campus or off campus?
Oh, that's a great question. First of all, you have to do what's best for you and your conditions, right? So if you get an opportunity, if you have the opportunity and you can afford to move, depending on where you go, right? I would always encourage live on campus. Live on campus your first year, because that's your group, right? Like that's where your classes are, your support system is. And the more you get engaged and involved in your environment, the more connected you're going to feel, the more you feel that sense of belonging. And as you do your research, if you're moving away to go to school, if they provide, some schools will guarantee transfer housing and some do not. So if they do, take them up on that offer. And just like I think Professor Foote was sharing, like, get a job on campus. Like if you're living there, see if your department is hiring. I worked at the rec center when I was at UCSD, and it was great. I got to learn how to play ping pong. Okay. I am a ping pong queen in my house, although my son beats me every once in a while, but it was great for me to be able to live there because they know that you're a student, and they work with your schedule. And then the nice thing too, like as you're researching housing options, another thing you don't have to worry about is cooking. Usually when you're on campus, there's a meal plan associated with that. And so that's kind of a little stress reliever. And then there's also that sense of community too. Sometimes some of the housing, like do your research with the housing. Sometimes there's themed housing where you get to choose. There might be themes in terms of your STEM. If you're a STEM major, there might be a housing specifically for STEM majors or healthcare or whatnot. And they have learning communities. So that's nice in that their programming is going to be geared towards your interest area, and the people you're living with, you have similar interests to, and build that support group. And I have to tell you, my very best friends, we've been together since UCSD days. That was like back in 92, you guys, that's how old we are. And the years of friendship. And so, and then if you get the opportunity, because not all transfer institutions guarantee housing for transfers, do your research, find out the, rental areas. Usually the housing office will have information about that for off-campus housing options. And see if you could find roommates. I know they help pair you up with that through their housing office with other transfer students as well. So whenever you get the opportunity, if you could live on campus, I would encourage that. I really think that's where I grew the most, being away from home. It really forced me to really be independent. And I was always a pretty independent person. My parents worked a lot and I was home a lot with my sister. So we had a lot of responsibilities. But it helped empower me to understand that there are things that I'm capable of doing that I never really thought I could do. So it's really an empowering process to be able to do that. So if you get the chance to live on campus, go for it.
I definitely agree with that too. During my first year, because I went to a different university, I also lived on campus, and the transition was a bit hard, but definitely a learning experience. So yeah, I will definitely look into more when I transfer to other places, but thank you for sharing that, Professor.
Sure.
Now, Professor Ciardi, what is something you wish you knew before attending your university that you feel would have been helpful during your transition?
I think it would have been helpful to know that a big university like Boston University, when you won't go to class, you sink or swim on your own. That the professors are more interested in the research they're doing than how you're doing in their class. And, if I hadn't at least been prepared for that, maybe it wouldn't have been so scary. Maybe I wouldn't have felt so alone. It also would have, I think it also would have helped me to know that I would be the only woman walking into my physics class. And I chose to become an athlete in college as well. And, to know that it wasn't typical to be an athlete and a physics major, and how to balance that kind of activity while also putting yourself through school. Some guidance with that is being a first generation college student, my parents couldn't help with this, how to navigate all of this. But in the end, it was really scary. I did not feel prepared for the situation that I found myself in. I still would have gone, but it would have been nice to know up front that I would be walking into a physics classroom as the only female, the only athlete, and that at a big school, you sink or swim on your own. And hopefully with a network of friends that you make so you can do physics problems together, because the professors don't have time for you. They have their research. That's their main focus. Teaching is secondary at best. So, that's what I would say. Know what I'm walking into would have been so much easier and not so scary.
Definitely agree on that. We're all here and it's kind of like you're all on your own. This is you, this is your future. No one's gonna help you. So definitely agree. Another question that we have is that what is the most memorable experience that you had during your time at Boston?
I would say one of my most memorable experiences was being part of the crew team. Being part of the crew team and having a coach or any athletic team, having a coach who's constantly pushing you to be better, makes you push to be better in every area. And so being part of a team was incredible. It was energizing. It made me reach higher in everything that I was doing. So that was extremely memorable for me. And then my thesis is actually dedicated to my most memorable experience with a professor. While most professors at the university were, don't come to my office hours, I need to work in my lab. They didn't want to bother with students outside of the classroom. I had one professor who recognized that I had very strong physics intuition, but I had not yet developed my mathematical skills fully. And he started spending his lunch hours with me alone and working with me step by step to build my problem solving skills. And I will never forget that time that he took for me, because he saw something in me and he nurtured that during his lunchtime. So those are my two most memorable, meaningful experiences from university.
Wow, thank you, Professor. Yeah, definitely having someone who can guide you, like a professor, especially, it's great.
Professor Morgenstern, I wanted to ask, what was your favorite part of the university life?
So actually, I want to kind of touch on a bunch of points that we just heard because they're all so good. Really, first and foremost, and this is going to sound, it was the people I met, the people I got to work with. When you are in a university and you've picked your major, and especially in those last couple of years when you're really taking your upper division classes and the best part of that is these smaller seminar classes. One thing I have to say, College of the Canyons, I was very pleased when I started teaching at COC and realized most of our classes, at least history, I don't know how the other departments go, but 35 students is about maximum capacity for a class. And that's something that is so good because it's hard to avoid that. It's hard to be able to do that at some other major universities. Cal State Northridge, we had our general ed classes, the survey courses and stuff with like 180 students. It just kind of has to be that way for the just numbers and everything. But an intimate, smaller environment, 35 people is so good. And when you're taking your majors, just really taking your upper division classes for your major, you really get to know a small number of people that you're going to take many classes with, and really working together, studying just morning, day, and night, just studying together, working together, and really it becomes a very unique bonding experience that, as we've heard too, lasts well beyond graduation. I mean, you graduate and these people become your people. And that was, to me, a very special thing. Also, instructors too. I mean, professors, you get to know them, and especially, if you're going for a graduate degree, the setting's even more personal between professors and students, and that part's great too. You get to know, and the professors you work with, you get to know them very well. And that, to me, it was that community, which is why I said in the beginning, get to know your department, know everyone there. And this is also, you're going to get a lot of help that way when you want to, you're not so sure what exactly you want to study, or you're writing your thesis, when you're putting together all the work for your degree, your professors are there to help you when you approach them, when you come up to them and visit during office hours. And the more you get to know them, the better. I mean, yes, they're doing their research, they're teaching, they're doing all this stuff, but they're happy to help and give you that kind of guidance when you seek it out. Also, though, I mean, it's you find your classmates, the friends you make, they're just as involved, just as invested as you are. You can bounce ideas off of them, and that just becomes a great part of the experience. So it's just to sum that up very briefly, it's the sense of community, the sense of belonging, the sense of togetherness, and really you're all putting in your own work, but you're all working in the same department, and it's just great.
Thank you for sharing that. I know that all of the friends that I've made so far, we have the same energy, and we match each other, and we definitely you kind of just find the people that you really want to be with, and it's really nice. So
Yeah.
I wanted to ask, what other advice do you have for anyone that's preparing for the university life?
So actually, one point we heard earlier that I really wanted to reemphasize, as I thought it was a great point, is to do research and ask questions. Current instructors too at COC, that's a great source. You might not, I mean, I don't know, we're in March. Boy, it's like this whole sense of time in the last year is just off. But so we're in March, April right now. If you're thinking of transferring, whether it's down the line, you might not know where exactly you want to transfer to, and that part's fine. It is okay. What I would tell people is it's okay not to know right this second. This is a decision you want to take some time with. Yes, go visit, other schools. Of course, right now in 2021, they've made it so accessible. You can even do you can search online and do all that, but really, even so, whether you do it now or wait until you can go visit in person, just do your research. Look for a school that has the right program for you. And it's really okay to take your time looking for those. Ask, get in touch with the instructors, the advisors over in those departments at those schools, and look at many different schools. You might find some great programs. Just be as diverse as possible with your possibilities, and keep looking. And eventually, when you find the right school, the right fit, I think most of the time you just know when you found a place that's a good fit for you. And once you're there, just never stop inquiring, asking questions. I definitely think it's a great idea if you can get a job on that campus. Just immerse yourself as much as you can. Yes, the great benefit is you're not commuting, zigzagging all the way. You go to work, you go to class, you live on campus or near campus or wherever, but you know, you're there. That's your center, your place for 2-4 years, however long you're there. And that's a great benefit.
Thank you, Professor. I'll make sure to do that too, to
Absolutely.
immerse myself. I think, especially at COC, like I made sure that since I transferred here, I joined ASG and I wanted to go to the clubs and talk to my professors, because I know that in my previous university, I didn't do that as much. So definitely want to take advantage of doing that now. So thank you for that.
You're welcome.
Yes. So Professor Foote, what was the most memorable experience that you had?
Thank you, Jeanette. Okay, so I am a pretty open person, and I'm going to be extremely real with you all. In marine biology, we went on a lot of field trips, and I will tell you that the field trips were the most memorable part because we were out of the classroom. We were out in the field, we were using our hands, we were in the intertidal at the beach, we took trips to Catalina. I mean, there is nothing more enriching than being with your peers and learning not only them in a classroom setting, but out and for real. And that is where, you know, I myself met so many of our close-knit friends that I have now. Even if they don't even live here anymore, we are friends on Facebook. We, you know, have everything together. This is a time during your community college, as well as transferring and going to your college. This is where you guys, you know, you think back in high school, you had this group of friends and everything. This is where you guys not only meet your friends, but your huge support system for the rest of your career in education, as well as moving forward. Like Liz said, you know, she still speaks with many of her friends, and they are all in the medical field, you know, and that is a lifeline or an informational reach out for her in her future, you know, with what she does now. You know, if she has students right now that need some advice in medical fields, she can say, oh, hold on, I have a friend over here that she went to. So these relationships that you make at the university and right now are huge proponents for your support going forward, whether it be your peers or even your professors. Okay. And I will say, and like I said, I'm going to be open with you. I'm not going to BS any of you guys because you're all adults right now. I know that when you go to university, there's going to be partying involved. Okay, whether you're a partier or not now, that's regardless. You are going to be put in situations where you are going to have to make some decisions. And all I have to say for that, because this is going to happen to you, is make sure you have friends that have the same goals in mind. Because I will tell you, I will be the first to admit, did I party? Absolutely. But you know what? I surrounded myself with friends that partied. We had a great time. But you know what? We spent all-nighters studying our butts off, and we succeeded, and we got A's in our classes together, not cheating, but studying together. So if you're going to party hard, make sure you study and work just as hard, okay? Don't let that overcome and bring you down, okay? I know, Jesus, that's right, party on, bro. But what I'm saying is just as long, because, you know, you hear from professors and they're not going to tell you that they partied in college. That's BS. I'm sorry. Everybody has, okay? So that's what I mean about being real. But just make sure, and that was one of the most memorable times, okay? But just make sure that you do have that goal and that set mind frame that, you know, okay, you know, this Friday we're going to party, but Saturday and Sunday, hey, you guys, let's do all-nighters and let's study this stuff for our test next week, okay? So keep that in mind because you need to have fun while you're learning, okay? The stuff's going to stick in your mind way better if you're having fun. So make it fun, but make sure you make those goals and you know, do your studies, okay? So sorry, I didn't mean to get all, you know, personal on that and stuff, but I want to be real with you guys because it is part of it.
That was amazing, Amy.
Sorry.
No, really, like I learned from that too, you know, just having friends that have the same goals as me. You know, my best friends are in the same major. It's amazing. You know, we understand each other. Being in ASG, just surrounding myself with a bunch of leaders. Mesa, a bunch of STEM students. I met really great people, Kayla, Jesus, Charlene, and just, it's great advice. Thank you. Just last question that I have for you is that what is something you wish you knew before attending a university that you feel would have been helpful?
Absolutely. Well, you know, when I transferred to CSUN, while I was at Ventura, and I didn't really go into this, I went to Ventura straight out of high school, and I went there for a year. I ended up getting on academic probation because I really, from high school, I wasn't into school. I was into sports. I played volleyball and softball. I didn't really care, but my mom said, please go to a community college, continue your stuff. So I went there a year. I basically kind of shut down. I didn't know what I wanted to do. So I stopped. I stopped going to the community college for a year, and I worked and I made money. And then I was like, my mom said, you know, please go back. Please go back. And I said, okay, I'll go back. And that's when I met that professor in marine biology. And because I went to it, then I left, and then I went back, I didn't really prepare myself for what transferring meant. And I really, really wish that while I was at the community college, that I did ask professors more questions about their journeys, about what they got into. I wish that I had a really good counselor that said, Amy, you really need to get into clubs. You really need to get an internship or some research so that you can, you know, better yourself and get more experience. I didn't have that. I didn't seek it out. And when I transferred, it did put me in a little bit of a back seat to many others that I saw in my courses that were in groups. They already knew people. They knew their professor that they wanted to work for already. And I'm like, oh my God. And that's why it was so overwhelming. So if there's anything that I can really instill in any of you, is right now is your time to try to get any type of extracurricular activities, any make a friend with a counselor. Liz is here. Honestly, get on, if you're, you know, in STEM or even not in STEM, get on a project like the NASA HASP that Teresa puts together. Get involved with things on campus. Many of you, I'm kind of talking to the choir here because many of you are already in ASG and you're already in clubs with the chat I see. So you guys are already preparing yourself for many things that some of us now that are your professors and so forth didn't do back then. So if I can accentuate that as much as possible, the more experience you can get now, the more confidence that you're going to have going forward as you transfer. Okay. And then just one more quick thing, as you do transfer, I know that Liz talked about learning who the professors were and everything. Please make sure that you do your research, see what those professors are teaching at the university you want to go to. Find somebody who's doing something that you like, because if you do find that, you then will be able to have an easier transition with somebody you know is doing something that you have some passion about. Okay, so those are my few tips. I know that our time is waning now, so I will stop there, and thank you again for this opportunity to share.
Thank you so much, Amy.
I think now that we've asked a few questions, I know that there's been some conversation in our chat also, so thank you for asking questions, our participants. I think we should move on to talking about the transfer center info, and then we can put everyone into breakout rooms and they can also ask questions.
So the Transfer Center is an informational center designed to help students who are considering to transfer to a four-year institution. Sorry about that. The center has a variety of resources available to provide students with transfer information. In addition, the center hosts visits by representatives from four-year institutions. Each fall semester, the Transfer Center sponsors Transfer Day, which is where they bring representatives from a variety of public and private four-year colleges and universities onto campus.
And so since it is the spring semester, they'll be holding some workshops. So you could check out more information on the website, canyons.edu/student-services/transfer center for more information, or you can visit them through office hours or the email listed on the screen right now.
Yes, and remember that UC applications are usually due November and Cal State applications are due December. It might seem like, far away from now, but starting on your personal statements as early as you can, it's always a great idea. And remember to seek help on campus.
And I think, Amy, you had a comment or?
Yeah, I just wanted to add to that, what you might already be doing, Jeanette and Kayla, is that every Thursday at 1 p.m., Connie Cruz puts on Transfer Thursdays. So if any of you have any questions about transferring, she's always there every Thursday, 1 o'clock, and it is on the website for the Transfer Center as well. So I just wanted to put that out there for you all as well.
Okay, and then Liz, I think you had something else to add as well.
Oh, yeah. Thank you so much. I wanted to share really quick, we are revamping our website, the counseling website, and incorporating a transfer component on there. So I also wanted to share to check out the counseling website. Right now, we've got information on there on April 3rd for anyone interested in attending UCLA. They're doing their STOMP conference. So if it's okay, I just wanted to share with you. Can you see my screen? So we're on the counseling website. So real quick, UCLA does this STOMP conference every year. It's fabulous. And it's designed for transfer students. It's called Student Transfer Outreach and Mentorship. It's going to be on Saturday, April 3rd from 10 to 1 p.m. You just click on this link and it'll take you there to sign up. And there is going to be admissions folks there. There are going to be students there you can talk to. Your programs are going to be there, financial aid, admissions, the whole shebang. Everyone's going to be there. So it's a one-stop shop to get information. And this is really, even though it's hosted through UCLA, all this information is also for all UC systems. So I really encourage you to attend that. And then I also wanted to share that we are hosting new transfer workshops. So this is coming up. It's going to get posted soon on our website, but we're doing Transfer 101 workshops. So if you want a deeper dive of what we've talked about today, definitely attend one of these workshops. We're going to talk about admission requirements, things to consider for attending a four-year university, key recommendations to ensure transfer success. So we're starting these, I think this is like next week, right? March 29th, okay? So there's a series of workshops coming up and you can, this will be on our website in the counseling website. So when I was sharing about counseling, going back to our counseling website, if you go to the transfer, getting started transfer, we've been revamping this. So there's a lot of great information and the workshops will be posted under here for Transfer Center. Oh, they're there already. They weren't there this morning before this. So you could just sign up right here for one of those workshops. And then we're going to have workshops on I've been denied, what are my next steps? Or I've been admitted, what are my next steps for transfer? So check this out. And we do have drop-in transfer counseling. The counseling office is available. You could just go to the online Zoom drop-in for quick 5-10 minute consultations, and then we could always schedule a follow-up appointment. I'm going to put my email in the chat. You are so welcome. I know sometimes it's hard to get a counseling appointment, but you are welcome to just email me and say, hey, Liz, I want to meet and put together my academic and career plan, and I'm happy to do that with you.
Thank you so much, Professor Shager, for that useful information. So unfortunately, since it's already 1 and we passed our time, we don't have time for breakout rooms. But if the professors are willing to share their email, just so students can reach out to you if they have any questions, that would be amazing. But other than that, thank you so much, everyone, for coming to our event, and thank you, professors, for participating. This was a successful event. Thank you.